So I thought I'd redo my last video of my little tractor and some of the things I did. I guess I was, my hand-eye coordination must not be as good as I thought it was. But as you can see, I've got a 1725 M Massey Ferguson. That's come with just the loader. I do got a belly mount mower that I do use for it during the summer. We're kind of past that stage, so of course that's not on there anymore. I do got the original tractor cab. It does work quite nicely. Just as a note, a lot of people say they take the all the skin off during the summer and just use it as a sunroof, but all I did was take the doors off, and everything seems like she held up quite nicely, so nothing to worry about there. And for the most part, it spent its time sitting outside all summer in the suns, and as you can see, it didn't seem to affect it any. So whatever they did, they know what they're doing over there. One of the things I did do to it is the little light they give you over there isn't very good. So I went ahead and put LED bar lights on top, or light bars. I put one on the back, and I did put one on the front too. And I did secure it through the hard top. Just make sure the clearance on your garage door lets you get in if you do that, because this is quite tall. In fact, I'll measure it for you here in a minute and see how tall the thing stands with the cab on it. And then, but anyway, as I was saying, you put the lights on there. Make sure you use silicone or some kind of sealant, otherwise the roof's going to leak on you. The roof is plenty sturdy enough to do that. You know, it's probably not necessarily ideal that you drill into the roof, but there really is no other good place to put them. But as promised, the roof stands about 79 inches tall without the lights on it. It's a hair taller than that with the lights on it. So that's just something to keep in mind. That seems to be a common question on these Masseys, how tall it is, which is a fair enough question. It doesn't do you any good if you can't get it in your garage, or you can store it where it's warm. We come around here, and I'll kind of start where I did last time, I guess, but I do got a Nortrac snowblower on there. It is a 4-footer from Northern Tool. I got it at the end of the season when they were a little bit cheaper a couple years ago. They say it's a little wider with the wings, and you can load it down pretty good with this little tractor. You can really get the tractor to barking, but this thing does very well. I haven't had any trouble with it. That's save for maybe a shear. They got a shear bolt that goes in there, and just make sure she's greased up. One of the things that I did do, another problem that I guess I did have is they got little bearings in here that can go out, which is can't really do much about it. The water gets into them, and then they expand, and then they break. So I just slowly replaced the bearings with sealed ones, and haven't had any trouble since. It does kind of ride on the plate. One modification, I guess the one major modification I did do to this little snowblower, because I did put the original tractor cab on there, you can see right there I used to have a crank handle. And so what I went ahead and did was I went on Amazon, and it was Carolina tarps, but I just bought a real small dump truck tarp motor. It's used to just open and close the tarp so stuff doesn't blow out, but when you do it, you can get a couple different shaft size. So I just went ahead and got the right shaft size, and of course drilled the hole. There's a couple holes in the Carolina tarp shaft comes out to about here, so you got a lot of wiggle room, and there's actually 2 spots where you can put bolts through. So whatever your modification is, the reason I picked this is it's more or less plug and play. I'd seen some things where they were using windshield wiper motors, and that's great, but it's not really. You got to kind of know what you're doing, and then you got to go get one and hope it works. And they're not necessarily strong enough for this, I don't think. One thing I did do though, because that is made to move a heavy tarp back and forth, is I don't think it would have hurt anything. It would have hit the cutout before it wrecked anything, but at least that's the hope. I did take the stops out of my chute, so that way it wouldn't, when I moved it back and forth, it wouldn't run against the stop and potentially wreck something. But that is got a breaker on it underneath the battery to cut it out so it won't draw too much. One thing I did do was I didn't use quite as heavy of a wire as they probably would have recommended, but once again, not running a big heavy tarp, so the power draw should be a lot less. I do got it kind of wrapped around there. I might have got her a little long, but coming into my cab, I just bought these cheap plugs off of Amazon. They come apart, and then you can separate it easy enough. It sucks when you got to sit there and unscrew it just so you can get the snowblower out of the way and put a weight on there and use the loader for other things. So, and another thing I guess I did kind of do is they got these tarp keepers that I use to kind of hold it down, because the tarp will kind of blow up a little bit on you if it's real windy. And I just crossed them there and put some bungee straps on it to hold it. One thing I keep seeing in the tractor community is everybody wanting to upgrade their lights. And I didn't do it in this instance for these, because I did go ahead and put a switch panel inside and ran power from there, so that wouldn't have made sense from drawing power from here. But a lot of guys want to upgrade this light or use this power cord. I don't know if I can get in here and see. Yeah, right here is the plug for it. If you, I don't know how well you guys can see, but that's a black and a green wire running up to the light. The new LED lights take so much less power than these that I wouldn't hesitate to use that to run a new set of LEDs that you might want to attach to your light bar, or even just put a different one there. And you don't even necessarily, I'm pretty sure the green is the power and the white is the ground. You don't even necessarily have to run them both around. You can just ground the light to itself. But anyway, moving on. One thing I did do this year that I didn't do in years past is I got a set of what they call box chains. I think I got it from tirechain.com. I can't quite remember. They weren't expensive, but they weren't exactly cheap either. But when you consider how much they had to do to assemble them, I guess I wouldn't give them away either. But it seems like they do pretty good. I had a chance to play with them in the slimy ditches and stuff, because we did get a little blast of snow here. Not much, just enough to grease everything up, and that makes a night and day difference. And I definitely wanted them on the front, because when you're pushing snow with this thing, especially with the snowblower on the back, she gets awful light up front and kind of hard to steer, especially if we had snow like we did last year, where it kept warming up every chance it got, and getting slimy underneath. Some things to kind of point out on the inside here, I guess. I did go ahead and I bought some insulation, just a cheap roll insulation, and I did stick some on the doors just because I had it. I had some, just that 3M spray adhesive I stuck all over it, and I just sort of stuffed them in the cracks there to sort of cut down on the right there where the tractor meets the flappy cab, and try and keep a little bit of heat in there, because it can bleed through there. And then I also took a big old piece and stuck it down there. But what I was showing you is here's my switch for the tarp. I don't know for my chute. I don't have it secured the best right now, but one wire here comes from the battery. The other one just simply goes out to the chute, and there's a breaker on there. And this all comes with that motor, and it's just a simple reverse polarity motor. So you turn it one way or the other, and the chute moves for you. You know, as you can see, it doesn't go too fast, it doesn't go too slow. I think it's about right for what we're doing. But like I was telling you earlier, as you hook it up and you get everything hooked up, if the motor doesn't have to be hooked up a specific way, so if you want that switch to go whichever way the chute goes, then you just go ahead and switch it around on the motor. No big deal. See if I can get my light out here so everybody can see a little better. As you can see, one thing I did too, I took that alien seal and I kind of put it around the controls. I don't know that it would help a lot, but it's a lot better than the big old gaps that are in there. And you can see right there that's actually the screen for the radiator. It draws cold air from down by your feet and pushes it through the radiator. And that's not real ideal when you're trying to keep heat in the cab, so I went ahead and covered it, and I haven't had any trouble with it. It sucks more than enough air around the radiator without that being open, that you don't have to worry, or at least you know. And in fact, it still sucks enough cold air that I got a piece of cardboard, and just a little piece of cardboard in the radiator to help hold the heat in. So I went ahead on Amazon, and I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do my switches, but I went ahead, and it's actually a marine switch. It's a sealed unit, and so they seal everything up, and you just put power to it, and then it's got the little power wires already coming out the back for you for each switch. So all you have to do is install it. Like I said, it's a sealed unit, and you can get different switch configurations and everything. I just ran a power wire and the ground right there up to it, and then all I had to do was plumb everything else in. I did go ahead and plumb my heater into it, just so I could make sure it wasn't, well, one, because the power was already there, and two, if I can shut the switch off over there, I can make sure it's not leaching power. I did upgrade to one size bigger since last time. The only reason I did it was because I wanted the extra defroster up front, as well as the extra defrosters going in the back. Otherwise, I only had 4. So I had one defroster going up front, one in the back. But according to the website, this is still the same size as the 4-hole. So that's kind of my reason for upgrading. And then, as you can see, that it does have a fan select speed switch. And then another thing I did do, you can't really see it anymore, but you can see it in my previous videos, I guess, since this is just a remake, is I went ahead and put an ATV side-by-side windshield wiper on there, because the one they give you just sort of hangs in the way, and it's not real, kind of sucks having to stare at it all the time and not real conducive to anything. But anyway, I guess that's pretty much all I wanted to show, in addition to some of the things I already did show. Oh, one more thing, I guess. I did go ahead and put a couple fans, and they come pre-sticky, and I just mounted them on there and ran the wire through there and stuck it in the cigarette lighter to try and keep the air, warm air moved around and keep the windows defrosted. And I guess I'll show you on this video too, so you don't have to go hunting around. But what I did do is I went ahead and ran the hose down the side and then out the front, and I'll meet you outside and show you where I plumbed it in. So there's where I left off coming out of the cab. And then you can see right there going along, it's 5/16 going into 5/8 hose, which doesn't seem like a lot, but because this is coming off of the heater or the water pump, it does actually move quite a bit of air. So I plumbed it in there. The one on the left coming out of the thermostat housing, that's the outlet. The one on the right is going back into the pump, and that's the inlet. And it does move plenty of air. You don't have, or water, I mean. You don't have to worry about that. As you're running it along at a high idle, the hoses are even warm to the touch. So I just wanted to quick kind of show that to you guys, and one other thing I'll kind of show you guys too is I guess it's covered in tape, but there is the breaker for the chute, and I guess it's also kind of tucked in there. There is a fuse for the switch panel. That's kind of one thing that I want to stress is when you do stuff like this, make sure it's on a fuse circuit. You don't want something to cross and burn your stuff down because you didn't have it fused. You can cause a lot more problems than it's worth if you don't put a fuse on the circuits. So anyway, that's all I had to say. I guess if you have any questions, feel free to ask. There's one more quick thing I wanted to add that everybody sees. It seems to be a common question, so I'd address it real quick. You know, this is a 25 horse tractor. You can put a bigger snowblower on there. As long as you can lift it and it's not unwieldy, it shouldn't be a problem. You can put a bigger snowblower on here. It's just, you got to keep in mind that the tractor might not like it and might do a little more barking than you want. If that's the case, you just have to go a little slower and maybe take 3/4 or half passes. But I just kind of wanted to add that if you did have a snowblower you wanted to use, you're not necessarily limited by the 4-foot snowblower. I only picked it because it clears it's just wide enough to clear my little tractor, and so that's just something I thought I'd kind of address, because it seems to be a question a lot of people have in the little tractor community is it too big? If it's too big, it just simply won't push the snow through it as fast. So that's just something to keep in mind.